Oh, I guess.
All right, Thursday night, time for our Las Vegas Triathlon Club member spotlight. And I almost need to call this the Las Vegas Triathlon Club / chess club uh, podcast tonight because we've got a special guest tonight, Brian Workman. Hey, Brian, how's it going?
Doing good.
Awesome. I'll explain the chess in just a second. And I've got co-host Bob Gamble tonight. Hey, Bob, how's it going?
It's going well, John. Thank you. Hi,
Awesome.
folks.
Awesome. So the reason why this could also be the chess club spotlight is because Brian is my unofficial chess coach, and he has been helping me learn that game, which has been great and super frustrating at the same time. So, and Brian is an outstanding chess player, and so it's going to be fun. We probably won't get too much into that, but we'll talk more about your triathlon stuff. But
Sure.
it's really neat that I've known Brian in the triathlon world and then picked up chess, but then I realized he was really good, and so I connected with him on the chess level too to tap into his expertise in that area. So Brian, it is great to have you. I'm going to really enjoy hearing more of your story because you've done a lot of different races, and that's going to be fun. But before I get going too far, I will turn it over to Bob for the official introduction.
Cool. Thank you, John. And welcome again, Brian. It's really good to have you on here. Most of the folks know you as the person who takes those awesome pictures
Yeah.
and makes everybody look like a professional triathlete. But they don't realize that you have actually done a lot of triathlons, and you've got a history in triathlon. You've been doing it for quite a while. So,
Yeah.
and it's interesting that John mentioned the fact that Brian is an accomplished chess player. He's an accomplished photographer. He's an accomplished triathlete. So he's done a lot of stuff here. We got a lot to unpack tonight.
Yeah, I used to be top 10 rated tennis, table tennis players in the state too.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, just so we don't forget it. And you can tell he's serious table tennis because he didn't call it ping pong. So yeah, from what I understand, he's a pretty awesome table tennis player as well. So just to get started, Brian, people do know you. Most of the club knows you as our photographer, but maybe not. They're not familiar with your triathlete and triathlon background. So, if you would please, what got you started into triathlon in the first place? When did you get started? And tell us a little bit about your triathlon career, what you've done.
I think it started about 10 years ago. I didn't know anything about triathlon until at my last job. I was a software developer, and the subject of triathlon never came up until somebody asked me to build software for it. They wanted an application for all the employees to host an annual event they call the Lazy Man Triathlon, where you do an iron distance in a month. And that was our tracker. And then everyone could see what everyone else was doing. So it's kind of cool. So that's how I got started. So I built this app. It became widely used. 350 people a year would use it. It was a very successful program. And I figured since I built this, I might as well go to the pool, and which I didn't like swimming. I still don't like swimming, but I especially didn't like swimming then. I should participate in this thing that I made, and that's how I got started.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right here because I see John smiling too. It's like, I didn't know you had such an app, and that would be so useful. I'd love to have that for tracking all of our yardage and mileage and times and all that stuff. That's
something I'm working on. I'm working on a commercial version. So.
So it's not going to be for free. You're going to.
I'll figure that out. So.
All right. Okay. So I'm sorry. I just had to throw that in there. But go ahead. Tell us about your start in triathlon and your career.
So I forgot her last name. This is terrible. So the first thing I did is I hired a coach because I've learned through all the different hobbies and stuff that I've done that the fastest way to learn things is to get a coach. And so that's why right from the beginning I did with Jackie from when she was doing Excel. So that's
Jackie Arcana.
That's how I got started. And then let's see, it became kind of my social circle where, show up to these workouts, and then, so most of my friends now are from just the triathlon community, I guess. So my old friends are not, but all my new ones are.
Your programmer friends are still programmers, and you're branched out into triathlon and
Yeah, my
chess and table
college
tennis.
friends and stuff like that. So yeah, and at the time I wasn't really doing fitness stuff. I was looking for something. I knew I needed to do something with fitness, and I just didn't find one, and it just showed up. It found me.
All right, and what did you think about it when you first started? I'm
Um,
curious.
What's funny is because we were keeping track of everyone's mileage, and everyone can see what everyone's doing. So I made this decision. I'm going to beat everybody.
I don't find that hard to believe.
I'm going to have the most mileage than anybody. Even if people are better athletes than me, I'm relentless. So I'm going to beat them anyway. So that was my goal. And so I did so much training, which was, in a way, it was kind of a mistake. My body wasn't ready for it.
Live and learn.
Yeah, I realized at the end of the month that because I made improvements, and I thought, wow, you know what, I can do this. I can do a real one. I was doing a fake one. Now I think I can do this for real. And that's I didn't want to waste that investment of time that I put in.
I'm sorry, Brian, but this is incredible. This is such a good way to start into triathlon. I never thought of that.
Found me. And then my other story too is 5 years prior to that, the actual first time I heard about triathlon is I had a coworker that went up to me and said, "Let me tell you about triathlon." Let me tell you. I didn't know that's what triathletes like to do, but now
Now you realize there's nothing that a triathlete likes to do more than talk about triathlon.
Yeah, they want to talk about triathlon, and it's changed my life, and you gotta try it, right? And he showed me all these photos of himself, like, yeah, that's me in T1, and I don't know what the hell T1 is. And
Right.
like he's putting on a wetsuit, and good for you. So he kind of put the idea in my brain, because when people get excited about something, I don't just dismiss it. I figure, well, there must be something about it. So maybe if I try, I can find what it is that they find enjoyable about it. Maybe I'll enjoy it too. So
Wait,
that's
you're a good and empathetic listener.
something like that, yeah.
Okay, now so keep going. How did that translate into your triathlon career?
I think by him talking to me like that made it easier for me to make the decision to try to do it. I think that had an influence. So and I started doing sprints, BBSC races, and it's so nice that we had a local circuit, because I don't know what would have happened if we didn't have something like that. I wouldn't have traveled, especially as a beginner.
Right.
So I started with the BBSC stuff, and then you're surrounded by people who have done Ironmans and halves, and that's all they talk about. That's all they want to talk about. And I thought, I want to do that too. I want to. Because I'm trying to surround myself by people who are motivated and apply themselves, and I want to do what they do. So that's kind of what got me started with it.
So you have done sprints, Olympics, halves, and fulls. So I mean, you've ran the whole gamut there.
Yeah, a bunch of the short races I've done, maybe almost about 8 to a dozen of the 70.3s. I've only done one full. I'd like to do one again, but that's like a lifestyle change that I'm not going to do at this moment. So, but I want to come back to it.
I love it. So I'm going to jump in here because I'm curious in your first race. So you had this seed planted from a colleague to, that he enjoyed triathlon and you looked into it. Then you did the app development and then you did your first race. So do you remember your first race? Do you remember which one it was?
Yeah, it was a Pumpkin Man. Actually, I probably shouldn't describe it in detail. There was an accident, and just out of respect to them, I won't talk about it, but maybe you guys know what I'm talking about. But there was an accident at that Pumpkin Man, and I was kind of somehow involved with that. So that was kind of a weird way to get for my first race. I won't describe what it was, just out of respect to their family and all that. You probably know what I'm talking about though.
Actually, I didn't. So, but we could talk about it
Didn't either.
later. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah. All right. So, so with that first race, when you were towing the start line, did you feel like you were ready to do this event?
No, I didn't know. In fact, I didn't think about it. So only thing I thought about is I'm going to show up and whatever happens, whatever happens, happens. I wasn't thinking of outcomes. So, and I kind of learned that from other stuff that I do.
Mhm.
Don't worry about the outcome. Just show up. Just show
And
up
most-
and do it and see what happens. And if it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. You can always do it again.
Wow.
So
When most people are getting started for their first one and they're apprehensive and a little bit scared, it's not because of the fear of anything bad happening to them, but there's an unknown there.
yes,
You
yes,
simply don't know what to expect. Did
yeah.
you experience that?
Yeah, and that actually has something to do with my photos because I didn't know what a triathlon looked like. I'd never seen one. When I went to my first one, I had never seen one before, and I didn't know what it looked like. I had
Wow.
no idea what to expect, what the experience was going to be like, except
Wow,
for
talk about the anxiety. Good grief.
Mm.
yeah, a little bit of anxiety, but I think I was all right.
Mhm.
It wasn't too bad.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, so with that and your first foray into triathlon, you've done a number of 70.3s and full Ironman.
Mm.
So when did you decide to take on the challenge of a longer distance?
Well, it goes back to that app I wrote, and with the fitness or the employee wellness committee did to advertise that event is they put signs all over the place that
Mhm.
said, did you ever wonder what it's like, to do this Ironman distance, now you can try, but you can do it in a month. And that question is what is it like to do that? That question never left my mind. And
Hmm.
it haunted me. That question, and every year I'd see that same ad, that same pamphlet, and that question I couldn't get that out of my head. And that's part of, I wanted to answer that question. What is it like?
Now, Brian, I actually think I can hear the gears turning in John's head, because they're certainly turning in mine as far as we need to do something like this for the club. That's going to be a fantastic way to get started and to track some things.
Yeah, I'll think about that because I can build stuff like that, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, yeah. So what was your first 70.3 that you took on?
The last Silverman, 70.3 before, as after Ironman bought it, and then they did it once or twice, and that was it. So I did that one, and I made it to the finish line. I didn't technically finish because I wasn't fast enough yet, and all I cared was that I got to the finish line, which I did. That was a hard race. I didn't realize after doing other ones, I didn't realize how hard it is compared to other ones.
Yeah. Was that the one that was the swim was in Lake Las Vegas, or was it still in Lake Mead at that point?
Oh, it was. Oh, I don't remember. I think it was I can't remember.
I don't remember when Ironman bought it. I think that's when they did move it to Lake Las Vegas, but it's a hard race.
Yeah.
There's no flat in that race at all.
No, and so when I realized, hey, I did one of the hardest ones there is, that's kind of confidence building, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So you finished that
That's
one,
huge.
and then you went on to do more. So you must have enjoyed it.
Well, I kind of I didn't kind of I DQ'd because I was too slow, and I'm not going to stand for that. I got to actually do it for real. And then I did. The first one I finished was Arizona. So, and then I did in the the Santa Rosa, the Vineman or whatever. So I did that.
Right, Vineman. Yeah.
So I've just done those two multiple times, so mostly the Arizona one. But I should probably diversify a little bit, go to a different one day.
There's something that was really important about what you just said that's important for new triathletes to hear, is the fact that you finished a full Ironman. You have done a full Ironman, and that's a huge accomplishment.
And it counted.
And
I made it in time.
That's right. And the fact that you actually on one of your first ones that you were at the, you were at the cutoff, and that you still went on to finish a full Ironman. And that's very admirable to keep going and do that kind of thing.
I could talk about that race for a while, but I was under time pressure the entire time. I barely made the bike cutoff, and I know I'm watching my watch. I'm barely going to make it, and so there's a lot of times where, you know what, I did all this work and I showed up, and yeah, I am under prepared. That's probably why I'm so close to the cutoff, and that's what I get. That's what you get.
Now, this is the 70.3 you're talking about.
The full.
The full.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I barely made the bike cutoff, and I got 6 hours to finish a marathon. I've only done one marathon in my life, and it took me longer than 6 hours. And the first loop, I did it in 3 hours and about 5 minutes. So I realized, oh, I'm not gonna make it. If I run at this pace, I'm gonna be 10 minutes late. And so I have to run faster. I have to run a negative split in an Ironman.
Gosh, in a marathon.
In a marathon, and I'm already dying, and I feel terrible. And it was 90% a mental battle than physical. And so I was bargaining with myself on why I should go another 10 feet, why I should go another 10 feet, and just small little goals, getting to the next aid station. So I had to make these mini goals and convince myself why I should do that. So there's, the entire time it's like, why am I doing this? I can just stop at any time. And then I thought the mantra is in your head, you run through your head. I thought, I can suffer for 3 more hours and I get to be an Ironman the rest of my life. So
wow.
I'm gonna just, even if it's torture, I'm gonna force myself to do it. And so, I was a little delirious actually, because the discomfort, which was probably a good thing. It's probably good to be delirious. And then, I did a negative split and made it.
And I want to know what did the reward from that feel like? Because that was a tremendous challenge and you did it. So it's like, was the reward bigger because the challenge was so hard?
I think that mental battle that I had that no one else will be able to experience except for me. I'm the only one that's going to know what was happening. And I don't know. It wasn't even the race. It was the I'm going to fight through this. I'm going to do this no matter what. And then I did. And then it's kind of it's good. It's good. It's a good feeling. I felt great.
Yeah.
So
big ups to you.
Yeah, this is really outstanding, Brian, and I think it's great for people to hear that it's really, it's your own challenge, it's your own race, and to fight the cutoff times is a real fight, and it's really neat to hear you talk about that battle. And the mental battle is, that everyone it gets that, and it's really neat to see you overcome that. So I'm curious, you finally hit the finish line.
Oh gosh, yeah. And my the other challenge I had was my watch, my Garmin was going to die. So
that's right.
And so how do I pace myself now? And so I had to figure out how do you pace yourself if I don't have a watch, right? And I realized the only way I can pace myself is I can't walk. That's the solution. I can't walk. I just have to. That's the only way, because instead of trying to pace myself, I can't do that at all. And that was my solution. to run without my watch. And what was funny is my watch died right when I hit the finish line. Right when the finish line. And then it died.
In the picture of you crossing the finish line in your Ironman, it's like I was thinking nobody should look that good going to finishing an Ironman, because you still look fresh and strong.
I did? No, that's optical illusion, I guess. No, yeah, I was not feeling well. The last mile I felt great because I forget the guy, the famous guy that does the announcements, the "You Are an Ironman" guy. I forget, he's gone now. You can hear him. I mean, you can hear him.
Oh,
so I got a mile left. I'm so close.
I'm there.
I'm there. so that last mile, I actually ran it probably faster than some of the other ones. And I didn't feel that last mile, I wasn't hurting. I didn't hurt that last mile. I was suffering for hours and hours and hours, but that last mile, I wasn't hurting.
Yeah, those endorphins kick where you're on full endorphin pumps right there.
Yeah, so to me, it's kind of interesting because of how much it truly is mental, and for whatever reason, my brain shut off the discomfort because the positive of finishing was outweighed whatever suffering I was feeling, and it overrid it.
Wow, that is so huge. Yeah, I love hearing that.
And
Hey, I'm sorry, go ahead.
as soon as I passed the finish line and I stopped moving, my body shut down. It totally shut down, and then I could barely walk, and I just kind of struggled my way to the medical tent. I just stayed there.
There's one thing I got to throw in here. I've been really looking forward to talking to you about your photography.
Oh,
We're almost running out of time, so if it's okay with you and John, I want to switch gears a minute here. Is that okay, John?
Yeah.
I talk about photos. I forgot.
First of all, a bunch of questions around your photography. What makes you such a good photographer? How did you learn photography? Because you're really good at it. And then the third question, and you can just lump all this together and talk about it all, but how did being a triathlete make you a good photographer of triathletes? Did that have an effect on it?
Yeah, let's see.
So what makes you such a good photographer? Start there.
I need to get tissue. Just give me a second. Sorry.
Oh, it's not all your camera, so don't give me that.
No, I just need to get tissue. Okay, no, I was trying to run away from the question because I didn't want to answer.
There you go.
That was a really clever way of escaping. About 5 years ago, I wasn't really. Most of my photography was with an iPhone. That's probably true of a lot of us. Is the camera phone is kind of an introduction to photographer for a lot of us. And about 5 years ago, or maybe longer, I was going to Iceland for vacation, and I thought, I want to bring home really nice photos. Because I'm going through all the trouble of going overseas. I want to have really nice photos. So that's when I got a more serious camera, and that's just how I got started. And then they turned out pretty good, and I was kind of surprised. And then I wanted to learn. I don't want to take pictures of stuff. I want to take photos of people, because I like taking photos of people better. And I wanted to learn portrait photography, and so I was thinking, well, how do you get good at that? And the way you get good at it, just like anything else, is you have to practice. So how do I get a bunch of people who will let me take their photo so I can practice? I mean, who do I know that would want to do that?
Triathletes.
Triathletes like photos of themselves. So I just asked. I can't remember. I think it was the Tri Club event. I said, "Hey, can I just show up and take some photos? Because I'm just teaching myself, and I didn't know what the outcome. I had no idea what the outcome was going to be, because I'd never taken a photo of an event before, and I hadn't really taken portrait photos in general. So I didn't have any experience, and so I got my portrait photography experience from these races. So, and it turned out the way it turned out, and yeah. And why do they look the way they do? Well, because I want my photos to look like portraits. So I want them to be, so, if a lot of the photos, if you can go, yeah, that it makes sense. They're kind of like portraits. And I want to take really good photos of people like portraits.
They're composed. Your photos are all composed really well.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to do. And part of why I wanted to get good at portraits is because I realized I don't have photos of myself when I was a kid. Because, well, 80s kids, we didn't have the digital cameras yet. So that's kind of true. That's true of all of us. We just don't have a lot of photos of ourselves. And if I have kids or family, whatever, I want to have photos, right? And I want them to be good photos. And so that's why I want to learn how to do portrait photography so that if one that happens, I'm ready for it. So when I take photos of people, I'm practicing for, these are family photos. That I'm,
Well, they are family. We're family.
Yeah.
so, so say why they are the way they are. I'm not going to give you a technical reason, but that's my kind of my motivational reason, I suppose. I think that's a better explanation than telling you how
Yeah.
I feel with a device.
Well,
Camera.
there's two aspects of that. One is the artistic end of it and the composition. The other one is you've got to know your camera and know how to
Yeah,
how to do the focal length and all that other stuff. So
yeah,
you're obvious. Don't cut yourself short. You know that as well.
yeah, you need to know your tool because you're only as good as your tools, and the tools are only as good as you. So it kind of goes both ways. And yeah, there's a learning curve, but like anything, you just have to do it over and over again, and then over time you figure it out. It becomes intuitive, it becomes second nature. So
Well,
that's
I'll say, Brian, your pictures are probably more important to the Tri Club events than even the times. They
That's
are
exactly
really,
right.
because you do, and I like how you describe this. I think that's really brilliant. Is that you're practicing portrait photography
yeah,
because you've got an eye that's different than a race photographer, where they're trying
yeah.
to get the number and they're trying to get the person, but you have a much deeper approach to it.
Yeah, they have a dilemma that I don't have. There's less people, so I can do more experimental things. They have a logistical problem where there's too many people, so they
Mhm.
can't. There's a limit to what they can do. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily that they're good or bad photographers. It's just the event kind of dictates how their
Mhm.
photos are going to be.
Yeah.
So which is related to that question. How does being a triathlete help me? Well, I know where to be, so I know kind of the I
Good
know
point.
where the it's sort of a life cycle of a triathlon, right?
Mhm.
And so I know where to be, and kind of it's like a strategy of, because I'm just one person taking photos of three different things, so I have to be everywhere. And so I figured out an efficient way of doing that.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
have to talk to you about that because whenever I've done that in the past, the overlap between the swim coming out of the swim and the bike coming in and the run coming out and the bike coming in, the overlap, you miss
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
You know,
you
so
do. Mhm.
it's
Yeah, so
it's
you have to make a choice too of who you're going to get and who you're not. And so what I tend to do is I'm either going to lose the fastest ones or the slowest ones. So I have to kind of make a choice.
Mhm.
Who's going to be in the photos this time? And I kind of alternate between
mix it up.
yeah, kind of mix it up. So I want to make sure, and I kind of favor people who are on the slower end, because people who are on the faster end, they got enough photos.
They got
Yeah.
tons of
Right.
pictures and they got podium pictures.
Yeah.
It's the and the one I can vouch for that. The people who are bringing up the rear and middle of the the folks who
Mhm.
are the real triathletes of our club. They want
Yeah,
it's a great incentive for them to see
Mhm.
themselves in your pictures.
yeah. So when I did it, I was going in blind. I don't know what a triathlon looks like, and so I wanted my photos to be helpful for people who are getting started.
There
Mhm.
you go.
They 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 kind of, to people have kind of noticed, I try to tell a story. So you're from the first photo to the last photo, it's a story, and
I can see that.
everyone looks good and everyone's having a good time, and you see people that, hey, that person looks like me, right? That person is my age, or that person is my, and when you can, and when the photos are good, it's more real to you. And
Mhm.
And those pictures are more valuable than the finisher medal. I
yeah,
just
yeah, and which reminds me
something
of
you can be proud of.
that first coworker that, let me tell you about triathlon. Here are my photos. He was so
Yeah.
proud. He was so proud of these photos, and it kind of, I never forgot that, and how meaningful that photo was, because it's the best way to document that I was there. I did this,
Yeah.
and even for yourself, and
Mhm.
it's good to share it with other people, and you're excited about something, you want to share it. You should do that, and it helps motivate. It helps you motivate you to keep coming and doing it. So
Well,
There,
and what I love is you must have a strong sense of pride when you see people using your pictures for their Facebook profile or what have you. That's got to be a really good feeling.
I see my photos are all over the place, and some of the race circuits kind of take my photos without permission and stuff like that, which is kind of, well, to me, it's a compliment. That's like, I don't care, because I want the photos to be. It doesn't matter if I made it or not. I don't care. I think photos should stand on themselves and let people enjoy them. So.
Well, you're very generous with that, and we greatly appreciate you taking pictures of others and not having pictures of yourself. Somehow we need to fix that problem too, though. So that's Brian. This has been great. We told you we'd keep you for 30 minutes, and we're already over that. So
Yeah, it went by in a heartbeat.
I talk. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
we haven't talked chess yet, so we'll have to do that.
And we haven't talked to your future triathlons. We're gonna have you on again.
Oh, okay. We'll do chess lesson day.
Yeah. Hey, this is great to hear more about your triathlon journey, and really appreciate even sharing the approach to doing photography. So, Brian, thank you so much, and thank you for being a big part of the club, both as a participant, but also in making it a valuable experience for everyone else as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
And I want to add to that, and the fact that the people who you take pictures of and they can be proud of, that just adds so much value to the club, and you're boosting their confidence. You're making them feel good about themselves. So you need a huge pat on your back.
Yeah, I think it helps people show up, and then the people that couldn't make it, and also for the volunteers and the people that are doing all the work. Is I noticed that you're doing all this work, like you and John, and everybody else, and when people don't show up, they don't see it, and so so the people that do all this work, it validates what they do too.
No, that's right, and you're very good at doing that. So thank you. This is awesome, Brian. This has been great.
Yeah, it has been. Thanks for being on.
All right. Well, see you later.
See you over the chessboard. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
All right. See you, everybody.